Hello everyone, Heba here. Today's topic is deep diving into false light and unveiling the shadow. So today I will lift another veil of illusion, step fearlessly into the world of shadows. I'll lift the veil of some of the false light factions and outline deceptive influences, cults and agendas that threaten free will and shalaya light of angelic humans and indigos. And this is not to spread hate, but to reveal truth. It's purely for educational purposes, and it is not intended to harm anyone, despite potential misinterpretations. And although I feel deep hesitation, I choose to confront this reality with courage because the time to awaken is now. So this presentation has been meticulously prepared, knowing that it may be the last of its kind for a little while, because soon I'll be delving into other topics to do with healing and restoring our organic template. And I will therefore return with new podcasts on healing, bio-regensis, and true spiritual solutions after this. But for now, it is critical that more of us see what is really happening today. So in today's segment, I'll reveal the nature of the false light, its origins, and the hidden agendas behind it. Many groups, many figures, many organizations have long operated from the shadows, playing deceptive roles in the spiritual and esoteric realms, and today I will name them without hesitation. And this is not just about exposing deception, it is about guiding you back to yourself and helping you design or craft a life built on philosophies of love and not fear, and moving beyond the confines of manipulated narratives. So I'll also introduce the light workers, different categories of light workers who are truly restoring the grid works and aiding in the authentic spiritual evolution, including many of you today who have come to our channel and who have arrived here with soul agreements to assist in this process. So what's today about? Consider it an expose, if you will. And while we typically refrain normally from naming names, today we have taken a slightly different stance. Due to the gravity and the urgency of the situation, it leaves us with no other option. So we will not leave any room for silence. The rapid descent of Earth and humanity into the shadows demands clarity, and with clarity comes responsibility, at least for us. So Matt and I have carefully crafted this segment to include engaging and thought-provoking elements, because this is not about fear or doom. It's about an exciting awakening for souls who may have lost their way or forgotten their true essence, and mainly because many have been tricked and deceived into believing in a false agenda. And that's the core of the discussion today. So today will be extensive, likely a long one, Some of you, this is a bit of a disclaimer too. What you hear today may be slightly triggering for some, and if you ever feel overwhelmed or deeply uncomfortable, please know it's okay to pause and return when you're ready, or not return at all. That's okay. We honor free will here. The truth can be shocking, but awareness is empowerment. And so this session will also be available on our channel, YouTube channel, when you feel ready and more prepared to engage. As more of our souls awaken to our true identities, we begin to progressively remember our presence here was never an accident. Because before incarnating on earth, many of us made sacred agreements, choosing certain lessons, challenges, experiences that would shape our journey today. We're not wandering aimlessly, although sometimes it may seem like we are. But we actually are part of something greater, a greater unfolding, a process of true organic ascension. And the challenge lies in remembrance. To truly remember, we must really acknowledge that within this Eka-Veka time matrix system, there are forces that actively work against our awakening and DNA evolution. So recognizing these influences is the first step toward reclaiming your power. Okay, so before I dive in, please understand this video is not based on freedom teachings. It is a subjective interpretation of the world and the different forces contributing to the current chaos. Our videos don't promote fear or despair. Instead, they seek collaboration through knowledge. In my opinion, exposure is a necessary process of dismantling the systems that have trapped us and hindered our evolution. In this segment, I will be naming many figures, many groups. Some may still feel connected to them. So it may offend or unsettle, and that's okay, because sometimes this is necessary for a wake-up. However, this may not be for you if you feel extremely triggered or offended, because you may not be ready yet to confront those deceptive nature of the false light. So please proceed with discernment, as what follows may leave some of you feeling challenged or even slightly disheartened. So what is false light? Here's the big question. And why is it considered deceptive? Why is false light? What is it exactly? So false light, in my view, is the absence of love, of care and alignment with divine will and the organic blueprint of the eternal sovereign self. And while it may not always intend harm, it actually disrupts energy through reversals, generating artificial vortices. We call them shona. These are frozen light particles obstructing the natural flow of energy. So shona is actually a term used to describe the shonata Anunnakis who were possessed by the infected Burja Budara spider races, and they choose not to follow the law of one. This is where Shona comes from. This isn't actually an engineered mutation to prevent true ascension. These FA, or the fallen angelic matrices, were formed by actually taking portions of ray consciousness, so different rays and frequencies, twisting and distorting it, combining it with unnatural frequencies and other things, using technology and other things. And we have been conditioned to a great extent to trust certain entities, for example, the Palladians, the Galactic Federation, Ashtar Command. These have been portrayed as benevolent guides, but beneath the surface, they serve their own fallen matrices, which means they have a much larger agenda, because their role is primarily not to aid evolution, but to siphon divine energy. So before naming those specific cults and groups, I first want to outline common energy siphoning methods, because there's certain methods they use. They don't do this haphazardly. These false light forces and FA influences use certain methods to siphon energy and push their agenda. And this list is by no means a comprehensive list. I'm just happy to share this list so you can make notes to help recognize manipulation and energetic interferences. So it's a great segment to actually take notes, because sometimes things can go, sometimes things can be missed. Sometimes the false light is so bedazzling that it stuns the vision. And so it's important to know what these energetic interferences are and recognize that manipulation beforehand so we don't fall in the trap. So some of these methods is planetary Merkaba manipulation. False light, they reverse the planetary Merkaba spiral, altering mathematical codes to disrupt natural energetic flow. And if you don't know what Merkaba is, this is an energy vehicle. This is your energy vehicle in brief. But if you want more extensive information, you can watch my YouTube video called Merkaba Mechanics on our YouTube channel. Another method is using inorganic energy systems. These systems promote artificial living environments, like, for example, LED light over sunlight. And so these methods erase the body's true cellular memory and biological memory that holds true organic energy. These are the same people pushing the med beds, the light therapy, death sciences techniques, etc. Then we have deceptive agendas. It pushes ideologies such as New Age doctrines, transhumanism, AI, savior complexes, sexual misery programs, astral hijacking via astral sexual entanglements. And a big one, distortion of divine, feminine, and masculine. The sacred unions have been attacked. They have been systematically altered, reinforcing gender inversion and control structures, for example, the Black Madonna Network. So this is primarily done by the Anunnakis, and under the Anunnaki influence, these forces fear the true divine feminine. They fear the true divine feminine because of her innate ability to connect with higher energies, and this threatens their control. As a result, they manipulate DNA, reversing feminine power and reducing it to subservience. She's held captive, she's seduced, hijacked, her womb becomes a tool for their agenda, and her visibility is deliberately suppressed. She remains in many parts of the world still commodified, controlled, and stripped of all sovereignty. Meanwhile, the divine masculine faces a different form of suppression. From birth, he is mutilated, circumcised, weakened, and stripped from his natural strength. He is conditioned to also endure humiliation, forced into war-torn landscapes where his power is distorted into servitude and violence. His essence is silenced, his DNA is altered to feminize him, and his presence in the family unit strategically removed. So society deemed the divine masculine insufficient, incapable, unworthy, ensuring he remains disconnected from his divine nature. This is a calculated distortion that disrupts the sacred union, the sacred balance between divine feminine and divine masculine, ensuring that both feminine and masculine remain fragmented and easily controlled. But recognizing this manipulation is the first step towards reclaiming our true sovereignty. Another way they manipulate is they use Maldek wormwood manipulation. Broken fragments of Maldek are repurposed into a space station designed to disrupt planetary balance and Merkaba fields here. The Anunnaki FAs use reconstructed Maldek as a Death Star space station to reverse the Merkaba field of the Earth. Of course, we can't forget the negative APIN grids. I've spoken extensively about this in another YouTube video called APIN. I'm not sure the whole title, but it's got APIN in there. And APIN is an acronym for Atlantean Pylon Implant Network. These are literal energetic implants used by the negative groups to reinforce gender division, leading to checkerboard mutation. This is the black and white squares, the Illuminati symbolism that you see everywhere. This is a type of DNA mutation. This is a form of mockery they use. This is a prevention of the fire and water alchemy union between divine and masculine energies. This is a massive mutation right now that we're having to deal with. Ascension path is another method brought forward here, or pushed, I should say, another manipulation agenda to harvest energy into a black hole fallen system. Not the true ascension path, but the inorganic New Age ascension path. This is all to feed their vampiric energies that are unable to connect back into the divine templates. We see that playing out amongst certain groups right now who use false ascension and reverse Thothian Kundalini mechanics to reverse energy through selling lofty ideas of ascension. But what's really occurring is a reversal in the individual and planetary grids. I will be talking about this extensively. Since 2005, there's been a growing divide within the New Age movement, and that's become very evident. As indigos and humans awaken, false light teachings are being anchored at the same time. There's been an ongoing struggle between good and evil, reflected in Phantom Earth, mirroring themes like from Superman, the Unity Saga, where Earth is trapped in Phantom Zone while balance is being fought for. And this has been the story, the drama, for a very long time. Many actually resist acknowledging these control structures. Many in the New Age groups will surrender their power through participation in the New Age awakening, often misrepresenting it as a 5D New Earth awakening. And there are many more other agendas and divisions and manipulation agendas at play. I'll be very specific today, and I will name groups and individuals associated with certain agendas. Please know that they may not be aware of who they serve. They may mean well, but mostly want to deceive. So what I'm saying is, yes, New Age influencers, teachers, gurus, they may not know who they're serving. A lot of them mean well, but a lot of them are put there for deception. So in this podcast, part 2 of false light, I will define the nature of false light. And for those who missed part 1, I strongly encourage you to watch it after this or before this. I will introduce key principles, and I will expose cults and false prophets and deceptive movements that manipulate people through unwilling initiations, implants, mind control, and psychological warfare, trapping individuals in finite loops of control. So while these revelations may seem a little bit critical, the purpose is to eliminate deception and not attack any person, figure, group, or individual entity, or movement even. This wasn't intended for public sharing, but the urgency nature of this makes it necessary, of course. So MCEO's freedom teachings guide me, but I share insights beyond them. I've learned through various MCEO workshops that benevolent beings exist outside of our time matrix, maintaining purity, still maintain purity and unwavering connection to eternal God source. They have upheld the Christic code since inception, embodying unconditional love and helping in critical moments like now. Some call it the savior agenda. This is absolutely not about saving us. This is an actual intervention because it's part of an ancient story, or you can call it a drama, dating back to previous stellar activation cycles where humanity was annihilated. It goes back older than Atlantis or Lemuria, over 25,000 years. Since then, humanity has been striving to restore its full 12 DNA strand potential, necessitating an intervention. This is also an intervention driven and fueled with love and bringing people and nations together who are united in vision and in purpose. So, okay, I will proceed now to the core of this segment. I will name the false light cults and false prophets, messengers. And remember, this is not a comprehensive list. In this segment, I'll be naming many figures, groups, and some of you may feel very uncomfortable because you may still feel connected to these groups. So if this offends, unsettles, it's okay. It may not be for you. You may not yet be ready to confront the deceptive nature of false light, and that's okay. So proceed with discernment, as what follows may leave some feeling challenged or even disheartened. So this segment, I will explore false light, how it operates, mainly focusing on third and fourth dimensional reality fields, and what's really keeping humanity in a state of forgetfulness about its true nature. Various groups and subgroups use distorted teachings to actually reinforce this illusion. So for newcomers to our channel and the guardian teachings of the CDT plates that were transcribed between 1998 and 2011, this discussion will be especially revealing. So here we go. This will be an extensive exploration with around 19 or 20 categories, far too deep to condense into just 1 hour. So this will be another 2 hours, and with a little segment, a little break in the middle. Feel free to pause when you need to and return when you're ready. And please share this segment because it's very important that we continue to expose these agendas. Okay, so let's dive in. First, the reversal of Kundalini, the chakra system. The reversal of the Kundalini and the chakra system, and the distortion of sound and manipulation of the eternal water God seed. I grouped all this in one because they're very much interrelated and overlap. So I will refrain from focusing on specific individuals or groups in this particular category. I will focus more on ideologies and belief systems that shape these influences instead. I will address particular names and organizations in the following categories. Because this category will explore distortions of the Kundalini body, which consist of the 7 main chakras plus 2 extra dimensions, and the manipulation of the eternal God seed Adam, which was omitted and replaced with other misleading interpretations. To illustrate this, I will reference biblical passages as examples of how certain truths were altered or diluted. And this section also I will examine various spiritual malpractices and fear-based agendas designed to suppress expanded consciousness, because by recognizing these distortions, we can move beyond limitations and truly regain our spiritual sovereignty. Kundalini or Antakarana represent the quantum levels of the light body extending beyond the ninth dimension. However, many teachings limit its understanding, leaving the individual vulnerable to all sorts of manipulation. According to the freedom teachings, the Melchizedek Cloister Emerald Order teachings, angelic human body operates within a 12 multidimensional anatomy, offering a more extensive view of ascension. The belief that ninth dimension is the peak of evolution, like they make out in the New Age agenda, is very misleading and can leave seekers open to all forms of possession and energetic interference. So I will not sugarcoat my words. I will say it as it is. And it's literally a form of possession and energetic interference. I will explain. So let me repeat this as a reinforcement. The belief that the ninth dimension is the peak of evolution is misleading and will leave many people, many individuals open to all sorts of possession and energetic interference and manipulation. How many of you out there know of Kundalini schools that teach that Kundalini is the highest evolution and most perfected manifestation of raw energy, the ultimate union of spirit and matter? This is a false belief because Kundalini goes to dimension 9 only. There are many additional levels before one is able to connect to the organic, eternal, primal light and sound fields for true and sacred culmination of human ascension and return to source. Okay, so I'll add a few more layers. I'll further explore, add perspective. So bear with me while I progressively add layers to this. There's a contrasting belief system that is gaining traction out there, especially affiliated with religious schools, and that's to do with also the rejection of the chakra system. So on one side, you have activate, Kundalini, this is the highest, the epitome of ascension and evolution. On the other hand, you have other schools of thought that are pushing the idea of rejection of a chakra system because of concerns of possession. And while fears of spiritual distortions are valid, some are valid, removing chakras, however, disconnects individuals from higher energy centers, preventing true alignment with Source, with eternal God Source. So, this is not a good practice. Chakras serve as vital connections from the thymus, which is chakra 8, to the planetary gateway chakra 15. So severing these pathways disrupts not only the organic activation of Kundalini energy, but the natural process of returning to source and achieving unity. And instead of avoidance, the sovereignty comes from clearing distortions and reclaiming energetic integrity. This is the right thing to do. In the new agenda, we have distorted and limited teachings of Kundalini with surgeries to remove chakras altogether. We have distorted views about light beings and about light being the highest and most potent force in the universe. What no one will tell you, though, is that all these systems have been diluted and reversed in terms of true knowledge. What we are not told and what you're not told is that sound is the first and true emanation from source. Unlike light, sound carries pure intention and cannot be distorted easily the same way that light is distorted. It becomes the foundation of creation. So what false light have done and continue to do is access the manu, the void, which is a field, a primal field. They get in there and they distort sacred codes, which then translates on our dimension here as distorted projections of light. And this, as a result, locks us in something termed in freedom teachings as phase lock, meaning keeping us stuck in matter and mind realms, locked in a finite consciousness, not eternal, but finite. And endlessly reincarnate here. So stuck in endless reincarnational cycles. And to further add to the light distortions here, what happened is light, not all of it, thankfully, but most on the planet right now, became refracted, reversed, manipulated, and it created illusions that obscured the deeper truths. So false light created holographic realities, misleading seekers, preventing genuine spiritual evolution. For instance, schools of mystery teaching members to access Akashic halls of records from soul projections and memory recalls from the astral field without proper field protection. Without proper field protection. There are endless numbers of schools teaching the avoidance method, the avoidance of shadow, which is a perfect recipe for inviting the shadow in and allowing it to remain with you, ultimately leading to infiltration and body takeover, all thanks to these false teachings. So ultimately, awakening is about integration and healing and not fear-based avoidance. And by clearing distortions and reclaiming our sovereignty, individuals restore divine truth and reconnect with their eternal nature. So in this same category, I want to further expound on the great distortion, specifically scriptural manipulation and spiritual severance. And one of the most distortions actually lies in religious and dogmatic misinterpretation. This is a deliberate effort to obscure true spiritual evolution, carefully designed, fortified by false doctrines, religious indoctrination, cultural appropriation, rewriting history, and pseudoscience. They've been engineered to sever humanity from divine source. This is the process that obstructs true ascension. Religious texts have systematically feared and suppressed the concept of ascension. They replaced it with the term rapture, shifting the narrative from personal empowerment to seeking external salvation. And instead of recognizing sound as the highest force, they exalted light. They reinforced the illusion that emancipation comes through an external savior rather than through inner mastery and spiritual sovereignty. So, not only that, they also suppressed the first sound tones, the harmonic keys, the first emanation from source, the Kristalla sound tones. And they also suppressed rainbow frequencies via rainbow roundtable methods of running divine frequencies from primal sound currents through the planetary grids that help retain its natural electromagnetic balances. So they circumvented these efforts to run proper roundtables. These texts live out by design. True ascension is not granted. It is a process where one becomes activated from and entirely within. So, as promised, I will provide those biblical references illustrating how the concept of the God seed Adam and true nature of creation have been misrepresented and altered over time. This will help shed light on the distortions that have shaped religious narratives, reinforcing external dependency rather than inner sovereignty. So here is one of those references. In the beginning, God created the heaven, and this is, I quote, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So this is a biblical reference. At face value, this suggests that God created everything, shaping order from formless, chaos and darkness, made the world orderly, and ruled over humanity and mankind. This is at face value. But this is actually far from the true meaning. If anything, it suggests a false dictator, an arbitrator God who loves control. If you can read between the lines, this is what you can recognize, is that the tone, the whole tone of and God ruled over, it suggests a false dictator, an arbitrator God. The deeper truth reveals that in the beginning, and God as a singular creative force, rather than, an entity known as God, but more like a force, and that heaven and earth were designed as perfect creation, pure intention manifest. Nowhere does it say that God actually created hell. Rather, before the distortions took hold, existence was formed as an untainted paradise free from all interferences. Now, recognizing this distinction is actually very crucial in awakening from these false constructs. We have to know what the true meaning is. So let's take another example. Earth, I quote, "Earth was without form and void," unquote. This phrase holds a deeper meaning beyond conventional interpretation. The formless state of Earth refers to the first creation of prematter substance, the primal foundation from which existence emerges. This all signifies that matter was not created directly, but manifested out from the void. And then later, text signifies that sound was first. So in essence, prematter liquid light and prematter sound are the original energetic substrate. The mention of the void is misunderstood. It is actually a dwelling of the Manu, the infinite or eternal field from which prematter light and sound originate, known as the Partikam, the feminine, Partike, masculine. These are forces. These are not genders, these are forces. Okay, another psalm, quote, "Darkness," and I quote, "darkness was upon the face of the deep," unquote. Here, darkness signifies dark matter. Nowhere do they tell you this. It represents dark matter, the foundational spirit body holding the encoded templates of living beings, of all living beings, and the Rasha body template. This is what is meant by dark matter. It is not hell. It is not where demons live. This is a first form generated, an intricate dance between light, sound, and emanation of the spirit body itself. So the phrase also points to the innermost seed, the light seed, as the original spark of existence. Darkness upon the deep is not absence, but potential, the fertile ground of creation, if you like. And understanding this deeper knowledge is essential to grasp the true mechanics of existence, where spirit, sound, and light are harmonized in divine order. I take another biblical phrase now. The Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. End of quote. It's not about God creating the seas and oceans, but rather refers to a substance, a primal energy substance known as hydrolase, existing within us. And this is the eternal water seed. Hydrolase, eternal water seed. The first element to emerge in creation is hydrolase. It connects to the body through the thymus duct, and this process activates the celestial on breathing, also called the solar symbiosis breathing, a higher function where the body absorbs energy through the skin via the sun rather than through the lungs. So originally this process begins at fetal integration, but due to the spiritual disconnection, humans now experience energetic recycling, a cycle that prevents full connection with the spirit body. So we become severed from the spirit body from day 6 after inception. or conception. I quote, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light, and God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. End of quote. Here, light signifies the light body, of course. This passage reflects the fundamental separation of creation particles into a trinity of units, not merely abstract duality, but precise division of light, of sound, and spirit, which is also the trinity used in biblical text. But here light signifies light body, while darkness represents the Rasha body, not the darkness, evil. God didn't create evil. So these are concentric bodies within bodies within bodies that interconnect, and at fetal integration, we are meant to actually integrate all of them, but the process, of course, doesn't happen this way at the moment. And that's due to the reversal grids turning off most of our consciousness at fetal integration. So in essence, we phase locked into the matter body. Now, we actually have the spirit body, the hydroacoustic body, the dark matter body. We have the thought form crystal body, the Yucatharista flame body, the Maharata, and the Jade luminary body. And the way these bodies get infiltrated is through distortion of light field, through programs running on inverted Manu void codecs through the Ire sound vibrations. So they go into the primal fields and reverse what they can, but they can actually just access the light field. They can only invert it or distort it once it becomes a light field into distortion or projection here on these levels that we are third and fourth dimensional. So when biblical books like the Genesis refer to water as the seas, oceans, and rivers, what they left out is the hydrolase, that God seed substance. And it is a gel-like substance. It forms the common thread in the fabric of creation, weaving together spirit, energy, and matter. It is water, okay, but the real water, not the water that we have here. So why is this information important when we talk about false light? Because false light doesn't validate the first principles of creation, neither does it want your eyes open to the real light or the sound pre-matter substratum of creation. So if you wake up to it and you have certain beliefs, then you will not want to go to churches and mosques and synagogues, because then you will be internally guided from your own spirit body, hydroacoustic, Rasha body, flame body, luminary body. Then there is no room left for fear, and that doesn't work for them, those who want to control your mind. So many actually hesitate, saying we can't open ourselves to the light, to the true light. It's so difficult. It's not an easy process right now because of the amount of inversions that we have. But here's the reality. When we first open our eyes to the real light, it may sting for a little while just to adjust our vision. And when the vision adjusts, the discomfort goes away. It's only temporary that the discomfort is there, but the awakening is a permanent thing. So it is well worth it. And now going back to the teachings of the chakra system and how that was inverted and reversed, that's a major inversion and a reversal, because the idea of severing something intrinsically tied to source is unthinkable. It's unthinkable. It is a crime. You know, what do we reduce ourselves to if we become disconnected from our chakra system? Take the heart chakra, for example. Without your heart chakra, what remains? A mind and body, of course, disconnected from the heart, leading to nothing but a hollow existence. So the third chakra plays a key role here because it's connected to identity and our sense of connection with other people. And if the ego chakra is removed, person may feel lost, disconnected, or hollow, like when you take out the kernel from the wheat, it becomes just an empty shell. And without a healthy ego, even the heart can't be accessed. Even the heart can feel unreachable, showing that true heart connection comes through a balanced ego body. So this is the first category to highlight because it actually relates to biblical texts being misrepresented, leading people away from true spirituality. And while these ideas challenge religious doctrines, they also appear in many spiritual circles, which is why I felt like we need to give it a category of its own. Healers actually use scripture to justify practices like channeling angels and false light images and things like that. So it's important that we recognize this as false light. Okay, so moving on to category 2, and now we get into the Theosophical Society. Alice Bailey Theosophical Society deserves a mention here because it's a foundational pillar of the New Age movement. It's credited by some as actually coining the term itself, the New Age. However, beneath the influence lies a very disturbing reality. So we have deep-rooted ties to actually Luciferianism and satanic ideologies, shaping the whole spiritual narrative or the spiritual landscape towards practices like witchcraft, channeling, astral surrender, astral sex, and channeling. So the symbolism used within the Theosophical Society teachings reveals further layers of deception. We have Ouroboros symbolism, which is a snake consuming its own tail. Of course, that symbolizes the infinite cycle of birth, rebirth, destruction. This is reincarnation in its rawest form. It's a perpetual loop designed to keep souls trapped in systems of misery. So this movement was founded in 1875. I briefly touched upon this in False Light 1. So in 1875, it was founded just 2 years after Helena Blavatsky published Isis Unveiled. And this very movement was constructed upon astral enlightenment doctrines, an invitation into the astral field, into astral awakening, which in reality means one thing, and it means surrendering the heart to perceived or preconceived higher forces. So in doing so, in surrendering your power, seekers unknowingly fall into a spiritual trap of a distorted light field, as I've talked about before. What they encounter are fallen entities dwelling within the astral realm, and this is good for them that want to control because it serves as a gateway to revive the spirit of Babylon and the predecessors, the Sumerians. Because you may ask, okay, what's wrong with Babylon and Sumerian civilizations? Well, actually, both of them are deeply influenced by reversed, false Luciferian, Thothean knowledge from the time of ancient Egypt, causing massive ripples throughout our time continuum today. Their effect is still lingering today. And the Theosophical Society has roots in those teachings, namely the Brotherhood of the Snake and the mystery schools of Isis. They run, for example, the serpentine agendas, the seven-headed snake, or you may know it as the beast. Whether they know it or not, this ties into the 666 BST or beast system, the black slate technology. And what's the black slate technology? It's a technology that erases and wipes our organic memories, an inverted system of dark magic and of course, inverted Cabala tree of life, which I've talked about numerous times in prior segments. The dart in the inverted tree of life in Cabala is the doorway to the underworld. 13 often is linked, or the number 13 is linked to death and transformation in esoteric traditions. Interestingly, appearing in Sadhguru's book, Death, his books was published in 2020, just after the worldwide, pandemic. 256 pages. 256 pages. Number 13. Deliberate or a coincidence? So this suggests that humans are seen as core issue in the world. This ideology ties into death sciences because these groups have an obsession with blood and bloodshed, destruction, depopulation. They celebrate Shiva, the destroyer, embracing narratives of erasure rather than renewal. They want to remove and not renew. For them, depopulation isn't just about control, it's about eliminating the ones that are deemed unnecessary, that don't have a purpose, value, or any use. But beneath the struggle lies a deep battle, a war to eradicate Christic beings, because Christic beings are connected to true source energy. They still have their God seed Adam intact. So these same groups inverted not only the tree of life, but also sacred geometries through false version of the flower of life, death sciences, Fibonacci, Vesica Pisces, the inverted cross, Saturn moon matrix, dark flowering technology, Metatronic cube science, and phase locked the 55-degree rotational particle spin Merkaba. This is what they teach out there in the New Age movement, the 55-degree rotational particle spin Merkaba, not the organic 45-degree charged rotational particle spin Merkaba. They also teach the Earth's poison apple, the astral thought form infiltration, and you hear them speak of Homo sapiens. But Homo sapien is not our natural DNA configuration. Homo sapien is a word given to humans that are mutated DNA. So it's not a good thing. So here this category is very huge. They really all cross over into each other because of what became a huge alliance between the fallen false light groups. And so when they got together, they formed what is termed United Intruder Resistance, UIR. So much of their methods got mixed up, and they really wanted to eradicate the Christics, so they all got together and formed the United Intruder Resistance. It's really easy to see blue and red. And if you know what I'm hinting to here, it's a duality game. You see it in politics. In all levels of society, you can see it. And so the Luciferians are a big part of this group. And I'll unveil the name according to the Freedom teaching because there's a lot of misconception about the word or the name Lucifer. Lucifer comes from a hybrid Palladian, Niberian, Anunnaki race. This race emerged by mixing bloodlines of Thoth, Enki, Zephylium, Anunnaki with the Satane family of Marduk, Anunnaki line, and the Necromaton beetle reptiles. And this is how the name Lucifer, and Lucifer is a collective. And from this hybridization, Nibiru and Alpha and Omega Centauri group races emerged. These all collectively became known as the Luciferians or the Luciferian bloodlines. And occasionally, these groups are joined by the Illuminati humans, and these groups are actually doing their bidding here on Earth right now. So there's another Anunnaki group as well, and all of them are unified to acquire the Holy Grail. The Grail quest is over the Earth's stargates. So they invented many reversal technologies, but one of them is the Niberian diotic crystal grid, so that they can control Earth's Templars and reverse the Merkaba fields of humans and Earth in the contemporary time here. And this is controlled from Stonehenge. So yeah, this checkerboard program actually is still operational today. This is not just history, but it's still operational today through the various programming and operations that they carry using technology and especially mind control programs. So like TV and various other programs. So there are several groups involved in this agenda, and I will name a few now. We have mystery schools, we have the Rosicrucian Order, Masonic orders, other occult organization as well that operate in plain sight, yet their deeper teachings remain hidden. So they openly signal their methods, which you may know. So this is something called revealing the method. It's an open signaling of their methods, but they keep the true essence of their teachings concealed because they believe they hold the key to knowledge, yet they actually possess partial truths. They think they have the whole truth, but they actually possess partial truths because they can only access limited energy currents. And so to fill in for the rest, so they feel like they've got it all, they create technology and partial activations using these technologies, and they tell themselves that they have the whole thing. Okay, we have other mystery schools, like we have, I recently came across a school called Purity Isis School. I won't even go into the teachings, but yeah, severely distorted, you can see it. Egyptian mystery schools, the Seven Sisters mystery schools, Sisterhood of the Moon, Freemasonry, Tibetan mystery schools, Indian mystery schools, plenty there, Babylonian mystery schools, Persian mystery schools linked to Zoroastrianism, and Zen mindful teachings that teach non-duality and avoidance of shadow healing. And yes, I know, Zen, beautiful Zen. What's wrong with it? I will explain this in a minute, okay? There is something wrong, majorly wrong with non-duality teachings because it's focused on avoidance of shadow healing, and I'll explore that in a minute. And then we have Cabala mystery schools, Scientology, Galactic Federation of Light, channeled material of Ra. This is a hard one for me because I used to love it. But, it didn't take me long to recognize this is channeling, and who knows who they're channeling. So this is one that I would strongly advise not to get into. The Ra material, the Ashtar Command, the Iranian UFO-based movement promoting transhumanism, the I Am movement, like the Summit Lighthouse, Tantric schools, like the Ajna Temple. There's many other associated with UFO movements, like Elena Danaan, Heaven's Gate, massive UFO cult there. Then we have the Ethereal Society and countless more. Would take me a whole day to list, but I think you get the gist. So moving on now to the second category, and this is about the teachings of non-duality, particularly the Vajrayana tradition, emphasizing the idea that we're all one, a concept at first that may seem appealing and unifying and harmonious and peaceful. However, this perspective carries significant implications that I want to explore today. Because here's the thing, unity strengthens collective consciousness. Yes, it does. Absolutely. I'm all for unity. But unity has to be done the right way. What happens when we have people unified for the wrong reasons? Then individuality becomes sacrificed. Then we lose sight of our soul's origin, our ancestral lineage, personal mission. We risk fading into what we call a homogenized existence, like they want to do now, the Great Reset, the one world religion, because they want to ensure that we disconnect from our unique essence. And what better way to do it than unify people under one umbrella? Through modern social reconstruction, social and certain other agendas that have a social nature, you can clearly see a uniform narrative is being promoted, one that diminishes individuality and personal expression. Because when you're in a group, a homogenous group, where everyone is saying the same thing, doing the same thing, different voices are seen as acts of rebellion. And so this is a sure way to exterminate any form of individual expression. So then the shift moves toward a one-size-fits-all system. This is a subtle way to turn down personality and uniqueness in favor of conformity. So what figures can you see in this movement? We see figures like Pema Chodron, Chogyam Trungpa, Reggie Ray. They've been very influential in shaping Vajrayana teachings, and I'm not saying all the teachings are distorted, but you can see that their legacies are not without controversy, and you can see how dissatisfied people are. In fact, there were reports suggesting that Reggie Ray's leadership within the Shambala movement has been marked by manipulation and psychological control and abusive practices, including isolation and emotional breakdown tactics. And there's a concern within these new non-duality teachings is they can be weaponized to suppress individual discernment. If all distinctions are erased, who holds the power and who dictates the truth? The danger is actually there. It lies in blind surrender, where seekers unknowingly relinquish their autonomy to systems, to people, to figures that do not serve the highest good. And so understanding oneness should not come at the cost of self-awareness, because true spiritual evolution requires balance and requires honoring unity while preserving individual sovereignty. So this unity movement becomes dangerous because fallen ETs use seduction techniques such as false unity consciousness, non-duality movements to infiltrate, to assimilate, to go unrecognized, even hybridize, in order to mutate 12-dimensional templates of angelic humans and dilute their genetic race codes. Why? For Stargate control, for dominion of Earth, to claim Amenti Stargates. If they gain Earth Stargates, they can use Earth Stargates to destroy universal Stargates, especially 12. And so this becomes their primary focus and purpose. Okay, moving on. We have this category is under false light and narcissistic spiritual leadership. I have noticed, many people are noticing too, modern spirituality becoming a breeding ground for narcissistic manipulation, where self-proclaimed teachers are masquerading as enlightened guides, ascended masters, subtly disempowering the followers. Here we have gurus, fake gurus. We have people like Muji, a well-known spiritual leader. He runs the ashram called Monte Sahaja Ashram in Portugal. And former members and staff have reported and spoken about the psychological manipulation, coercion, and emotional abuse, describing the environment as an absolutely horrific place, but also a place where everyone just surrenders their power with absolute devotion to the guru, and it is demanded. So there's reports indicating that people, or followers I should say, are isolated in rural Portugal, far from their homes, subjected to intense mind control techniques. It is said that gaslighting is said to be frequent, embedding deep psychological dependence on the guru within disciples' lives. Some accounts describe rituals where devotees bow down and kiss Muji's feet, reinforcing the belief that he is the divine figure. Others allege Muji engages in controlling behavior, emotional breakdown tactics, and inappropriate relationships with followers. Now, Muji's organization, I must say, they've denied this claim, stating their false accusations and distortions. However, there has been independent investigations and testimonies from many members, former members, and growing raised concerns about the cult-like atmosphere and the psychological impact on followers. We have another one, and his name is Bentino Massaro. His teachings have fostered cult-like devotion, same thing, psychological coercion and financial exploitation. He promotes instant transcendence, bypassing shadow work, which is an essential inner process requiring true spiritual mastery. He discourages deep self-reflection. His teachings ensure that followers remain spiritually immature, depending on his wisdom rather than their own discernment. There have been reports from former members describing gaslighting, forced confessions, and financial coercion, with retreats designed to sever personal ties and reinforce loyalty to this ideology, this cult. And so these people also preach external salvation, convincing seekers that enlightenment is achieved through their teachings rather than their own genuine inner work. He's even claimed extraordinary abilities like teleportation, weather control, blending mysticism with conspiracy narratives to reinforce his influence. By controlling the narrative of awakening, false light figures like him keep followers spiritually dependent, ensuring they never reach true sovereignty. That's what they do. Because, there's a lot in it for them, because without that, they diminish to nothing. So then exposing these false manipulative teachings is very crucial to reclaiming personal power. We need to learn to recognize it very early on, not when it's too late. And we need to have strong boundaries and break free from deceptive influences. Not be scared, not have fear. Okay? So, moving on. Another big one is the sexual misery programs. This is a form of actually negative alien interference introduced through external parasitic implants leaving victims trapped in cycles of debauchery and deprivation. It's a wide category, very huge, because it encompasses a wide range of sexual manipulation, abusive behaviors, ranging from harmful tantra to abuse to possessive behavior, all mixed in with spiritual leadership, more like spiritual escapism. So we have practical yoga gurus that are hands-on, literally hands-on, like Patabi Joyce, founder of Ashtanga Yoga, Bikram Chaudhary, founder of Bikram Yoga. Both face serious allegations of sexual misconduct and abuse. Former students have reported instances of inappropriate physical adjustments during yoga sessions. I have seen it on tape, on video. I have seen the inappropriate way this particular person was adjusted. Despite these people's influential roles in popularizing practices like Ashtanga and Bikram Yoga globally, they have big legacies. And these legacies have been deeply tarnished by these allegations that later were actually proven to be true. So many practitioners have distanced themselves from these teachings, while others continue to grapple with the ethical implication of these events. Some are completely in dissonance. They don't want to acknowledge it because they have attachments to the practice itself or the legacy. We have also yogis like Yogi Bhajan, the founder of Kundalini Yoga in the West. He faced serious allegations of the same nature, manipulation, cult-like control, etc. He engaged, or reports indicate that he engaged in decades of misconduct, including sexual assault, coercion, financial exploitation. And survivors have described experiences of sexual abuse, drug smuggling, fraudulent activities, significantly tarnishing his legacy. There is a documentary called Breath of Fire, which sheds light on these issues, exposing the darker aspects of the Kundalini Yoga movement. Then we have Prakshanand Saraswati, founder of the International Society of Divine Love, and the Radha Madhav Dham, once preached Hindu devotion but was later exposed for serious criminal abuse. In 2001, he's convicted of 20 counts of indecency with a minor. Victims detailed years of trauma in his Texas ashram. Sentenced to 14 years, fled justice, and he remains a fugitive, even landing on America's Most Wanted. His case underscores a troubling pattern: spiritual leaders who manipulate and exploit under the guise of enlightenment. And why do so many gurus descend into narcissism and abuse? I explore this phenomena in a podcast I made not long ago on spiritual narcissism, shedding light on its deeper causes. So beyond the surface of this allegation, there is a deeper issue: what freedom teachings refer to as a program, a sexual misery program. It is a form of negative alien interference introduced through external parasitic implants, like suction cups within the astral field. This program actually drains energy through the sacral chakra, leading individuals to believe they have unmet sexual desires, compelling them into astral activities that literally strip away their divine light. More recently, we have the movement of polyamory, pushed with spiritual influences, advocating monogamy is restrictive, whereas polyamory is a way of expanding consciousness and spiritual liberation. And so This is precisely how entities infiltrate through unhealed trauma and sexual misery mind control, ensnaring individuals in illusions, keeping them disconnected from their true essence. So we need to be very careful and recognize when these things happen in the world, but also within us. Okay, moving on. Next one is the Shamanic or the shamanism movement. Of course, this one has become a movement very popularized as part of the New Age, especially in the 1960s and 1970s. It sort of mixes in with the hippie movement. It's played a significant role in bringing shamanic practices into mainstream awareness, blending indigenous wisdom with contemporary New Age spirituality. This one earns its own right to exist as a separate category because of its influence on the collective consciousness and astral-related misconduct that takes place within the movement. And since the emergence of the New Age movement and the rise of the neo-shamans, it's led to something that we all can see, I think. Overpriced retreats, way overpriced, spiritual but superficial spiritual teachings, stripping sacred traditions of their depths. And so it goes without saying a spiritual manipulation becomes remnant, while some self-proclaimed shamans create cult-like environments, fostering dependency rather than empowerment. We have people like a shaman from Colorado, Chris Douglas, self-proclaimed ayahuasca shaman, accused of abusive practices, including psychological manipulation, coercion, astral-related misconducts. Reports from his ex-followers describe intense emotional mental control, with claims that he instilled paranoia, engaged in verbal abuse, manipulating individuals through spiritual teachings. Not to mention illegal activities and selling large quantities of psychedelic substances to fund his operations. Now, these are the things that we see in these neo-shaman groups and retreats. Okay, and the next one is channeling movement. Channeling is a huge movement right now. Why is channeling disempowering? Because channeling relies on external forces, placing spiritual authority outside oneself, promoting submission to unknown entities, which can manipulate perceptions and obscure personal intuition. So instead of strengthening one's own telepathy, intuition, inner wisdom, divine connection, channeling leads individuals to blindly follow external guidance, making them vulnerable to control, to deception, and of course, spiritual interference. We have many examples of this movement. We have Mafu and Ramtha. They're channeled entities brought forth by Penny Torres and J.Z. Knight, respectively. Their teachings emphasize astral enlightenment, surrender to higher forces, and trust in unseen entities. This is one marketed as a spiritual empowerment movement. Such practices often encourage dependency rather than true sovereignty. Same with other channels like Bashar, Sam the Illusionist, Jane Roberts, Lee Corral, Galactic Federation of Light. You have, for example, Cryon and the Clarion Call, Maitreya, Archangel Michael, Adama, and countless others that are also associated within the UFO movements. And you have the pretty Pleiadian, blonde, blue-eyed, that contact certain people here and also use seduction to get into their energy fields. So we need to not fall for these traps and understand that true empowerment comes from direct connection with Source, not going through these in the middle entities, and definitely not surrendering authorities to those intermediaries whose intentions remain unclear. Okay. Our next one is about the false movement of the twin flames, the Hieros false New Age movement. We have a twin flames universe here in this category, founded by Jeff and Shalia Divine, also known as twin rays. This has been heavily criticized as a self-help cult that exploits the concept of twin flames for financial gain. So it promotes intense devotion, encouraging followers to pursue their true flames, true twin flames at all costs, even if it led to obsession, stalking, and emotional distress. So this group has been heavily criticized for their stance and pushing these practices. Former members actually alleging coercion and financial exploitation and manipulation. So their ideology promotes the idea that everyone is destined for a twin flame, but critics argue that the group pressures individuals into relationships and encourages behaviors that can be quite harmful. Ex-members have described being coached into violating restraining orders or cutting ties with family unless they financially support the group. Now, like I said, there is a deep, most of these programs are deeply rooted in some form of negative agenda coming from a much deeper place. Where do these particular teachings come from? They come from the teaching of Thoth's Kundalini awakening, Hieros Gamas, promoted as sacred marriage. It's a concept that goes back, way back, to Gnostic Christianity and modern esoteric schools, symbolizing the union of divine masculine and feminine energies. In Gnostic Christianity, some believe Jesus and Mary Magdalene embodied the Hieros Gamas, representing spiritual alchemy. But modern spiritual movements have distorted this concept into sexual rituals for enlightenment. The two are getting, really mixed up. So modern esoteric schools often incorporate Hieros Gamas into occult practices, blending it with tantric teachings and initiation-based structures similar like to Masonic orders and Rosicrucian orders. Critics have warned that these teachings can lead to manipulation, convincing followers that sexual rituals are necessary for ascension, which then leads to, of course, exploitation and abuse in spiritual communities. So these false light teaching use Hieros Gamas to justify control, misleading seekers into external rituals instead of true inner gnosis and personal empowerment. Moving on now, we have the Brotherhood of the Snake, and these present themselves as spiritual influencers who aim to twist the original Merkaba teaching, generating false Merkaba aligned to Death Star mechanics. There's way too many to list here, but on top of the list, we have people influencers like Eldoran Samans, spiritual teachers, who claim to usher humanity into the new era of light using ascension techniques channeled from the Melchizedek schools, the Ra school, the Thothian schools, and other ascended masters. They themselves established mystery school focused on Kundalini initiations, ego harmonization, and breath work for DNA activation and consciousness awakening. Saman himself, in 2019, he claims that he had a walk-in experience, which resulted in him becoming the voice and soul of the galactic masters. And of course, this raised skepticism because they're not aligned. You can see it. Their teachings are electrostatic based, so which means they're using Fibonacci 55 formulas, ties into the black hole system. And some actually know this because they've had first-hand experience. They believe they felt a disruption in their natural DNA templates. And they claim to have built a bridge for people to cross over and speak with spirits on the other side, which in my view is complete spiritual manipulation, because no one can hold your hand and take you there. You have to journey yourself. They often reference Metatronic music and frequencies. They state they charge crystals in vibrating crystals in subconscious populations, so they have an effect on the subconscious mind worldwide. Former followers describe psychological manipulation, coercion, and financial exploitation. Some claim they were pressured into costly initiations and spiritual programs that only destroyed their templates. We have, they've been exposed widely by, there's a documentary called Exposed, and you can watch that if you're interested, and exposes them more deeply and their practices and what they're about. They're also, I believe, doing the bidding of the Galactic Federation. They're under major mind control matrices. They're going after people, not just one person. I mean, it's a program. It's run through the grids, through the Niberian dodic crystal grids. So it's not a small thing. It's run from parallel Earth and beaming into the airwaves over here, and channels like them are picking it up and deciding to use it to manipulate. This is a huge thing. This is very, very sad, but very huge, and people need to be aware of what is going on. We will be taking a short break and we'll be back shortly.
The will to be in a fully crested existence. Absolute unshakable conviction. The will to be in a fully crested existence. Sun's strength of eternal grace, expressed now in this place. Sun's strength of eternal grace, expressed now in this place.
Okay, we're back. So the next one, the Niberian cults who await the return of Nibiru and aliens coming to the rescue. Here we have Gabriel of Urantia. They hail Satan and claim that consciousness first arrived here 1 million years ago, not from the apes, but from lemurs. And one of those lemurs decided, I won't hit, forming the first moral conscious thought, marking the beginning of human ethics. At this point, Earth was registered with the number 606, Satania, an anagram for Satan. They assert that Anunnaki were merely theory and not real, while the true extraterrestrials are the Pleiadians. They pray to Christ Michael, conducting initiations that follow Thoth's bidding. Their teachings claim that Nibiru is the adjudicator planet, which will appear once Lucifer's released from his prison world, heading toward Earth for justice and the final battle of Armageddon. Yeah, so they're about the Armageddon program, and they belong to the Satanic Alliance, frequently referencing Luciferian rebellion. They also mention the Essenes, who they believe were opposed to the Anunnaki, walking with God and his will. To them, separating from evil means separating from Babylon, a concept preached by John the Baptist. Interestingly, they refer to Earth as Urantia, believing in the providential times, claiming Urantia will return when all souls on the planet desire to be in the will of God. Their guru is Gabriel of Urantia. He holds the mandate of the bright and morning star, opposing Lucifer, who rebelled for the same title. Yeah. They teach ascension mechanics, deliberately leaving out dimensional system from the freedom teachings. According to them, the return of the adjudicator planet Nibiru marks the beginning of New Jerusalem and the establishment of Urantia's first stage of light and life. Gabriel of Urantia claims to have been King Arthur, Martin Luther, George Washington in past lives, and is a medium for the space alien named Paladin, reinforcing his self-proclaimed divine authority. One thing that's a fact, they assert that the sun is the fuel of the solar system and has been heavily abused by fallen angelic races for its quanta energy over thousands of years. Now, a little background history here for new listeners who may not have watched previous segments on our channel, namely the Anunnaki, Elohim, and their altering of the Merkaba mechanics. So just want to give a little background history here. So the Anu, Elohim, the Anunnaki, they altered the Merkaba mechanics of the earth and the sun. But here I'm talking about the sun. Linking a wormhole from Nibiru to the sun using those 55 Fibonacci death science mechanics. This phase-locked connection, of course, ended up restricting the rhythm of the solar body, preventing the sun from recharging and interfacing with its antimatter template, effectively suffocating the energy cycle. So the interaction with the antimatter or dark matter template is actually crucial for every living being or every living thing. It's very crucial to recycle energy and ensure it remains connected to its spirit body. But this manipulation prevented the system and the sun in this case from replenishing itself. So in essence, they got this part right. Next, we have the Cabala mystery schools, the Metatronic manipulation and reverse monad schools. I have to keep my mouth moist. This is a long session. Okay, some spiritual teachings include those promoted by organizations like Shift Network, Gaia TV, focusing on reversal energy mechanics, reversing prana, reversing the Rasha body. While they promise heightened states of awareness, these practices can actually redirect vital energy away from the natural ascension paths, steering it toward distorted energy grids known as the Wiza fallen matrices. So we have Jewish, for example, mysticism, Cabala. The monad body or the monadic body is represented as Ketha, but this is a false version, an altered structure disconnecting people from their true source energy known as the Kirashe and Kundare, primal light and primal sound respectively. BST is a technology designed to erase original spiritual memories, replacing them with false narrative, such as the concept of Ketha in Cabala. Both Cabala and Scientology have been accused of trapping individuals in manipulated memory states using systems like BST to enforce controlled perception of reality. So the Cabala tree of life, rather than being a pure spiritual tool, is described as an unnatural energy structure, one that locks human consciousness into limited and finite vibrational states. And instead of aligning with the natural energy flows taught in the freedom teachings, these teachings distort frequencies, ultimately reducing an individual's spiritual potential and disrupting their higher energetic function. Okay, moving on. So it'll get a bit more interesting now as we move on. The Shambala cults. Example, the cult of Rishi led by Deborah Patton West. I looked into this cult and very interesting, what they do. She claims to be Sedona's enlightened master in residence. So she lives there. And she hosted spiritual gatherings both in her home and online. So what she claims and states is that she was called to Sedona in 1990 to open the divine corridor of amplified light, in her own words. She envisions Sedona becoming the Shambala of the West, embracing people's ability to live at the 7th dimensional plane of reality. She initiates followers using the blue flaming sword of Archangel Michael, claiming that it grants spiritual awakening and divine protection. There's been a number of allegations to reports suggesting that she inflicts pain and suffering on followers before taking control over them. Some followers reportedly began speaking in tongues after spending time with her. She's said to invoke deities, dark arts and magic, raising concerns about manipulation and spiritual coercion. And former followers describe violent initiations, hypnosis, and extreme control tactics. Adam is said to be an ascended master and a high priest of Telos. He serves as the head of the Lemurian Council of Light, located in Telos. He's said to be the ambassador and diplomat to the Galactic Federation of Light and represents the beings below and humanity above. He oversees the establishment of the crystalline grid around the Earth or the planet. Adam is also part of the leadership of the Ascension project that aims to assist humanity to ascend to the fifth dimension. The project also includes the collaboration with ascended masters of the fifth dimension, such as Saint Germain, Serapis Bey, Master Hilarion, Lord Lanto, Paul the Venetian, Master El Moya, Lord Maitreya, Lord Sananda, and Sanat Kumara. And Adama of Telos is described as an ascended master and high priest of Telos, a Lemurian city of light beneath Mount Shasta. Remember, that's what we were told. But the true story of Telos is different. And this is where I'll be sharing it right now. Okay, so Adama leads to the Lemurian Council of Light. He serves as the ambassador for Galactic Federation of Light, and focuses supposedly on teachings of love, compassion, and ascension. But not all that glitters is gold. Okay, because these people are connected to what is known as the Great White Brotherhood. This is believed to be a mystical order of ascended masters guiding spiritual evolution. Some spiritual teachers claim connections to the Great White Brotherhood through White Rooms, White Lotus Rooms, Channeling Metatron, and Galactic Federation of Light. There's other schools. There's mystery schools and spiritual movements such as the Order and Mystery School of the Seven Rays, Ascended. Okay, I'm going to name a few here because there's a lot in this category. So we have Order and Mystery School of the Seven Rays, Ascended Masters 101, Vesica Institute, Order of Knowledge, and the Forbidden Knowledge Podcast Network, Billy Carson's Teachings, the Manly Hall Society, Santa Spinaci, Isis Mystery School, Order of the White Rose, Lifting the Veil and Beyond the Veil, Portal to Ascension, Wisdom of the Ancients, Azure Meditations, Archangel Frequencies, Esoterica. And by the way, you can look these up on YouTube. They have a huge following usually. Then we have Stairway Healing, Lucid Dreaming Music, Musically Zen, Master of Abundance, Aurora Ray, Eldora and Zaman, GFL Station, Astral Legends TV, Barbara Messeniak, Aaron Doughty, Brian Scott, Debbie Solaris, Church of Light, the publishers of the Brotherhood of Light, tarot cards. Each of these are just some examples, each with esoteric wisdom with layers of mysticism, in other words, blending truth with altered narratives. And you see there's a lot of New Age buzzwords here that they like to be known for. There's a rise of the syncretistic movement as well. Means we're all one and all is accepted, including New Age philosophies that aim for one world spiritual order, such as the Rising Serpent, Gaia Network, Abraham Hicks, Santa Spinaci, Seth Material. All of these illustrate how spiritual seekers are drawn in with fragments of universal truth, only to be guided by more distorted teachings. A key tactic is offering, okay, some people would, come back and say, wait, they actually taught me a thing or two and I can feel truth in it. And, yes, there is some truth in what they teach. They have to include some truth. Otherwise, they'll give it all away and they'll make themselves known. So they have to cover up their truths or their lies with half-truths. So they give you partial truth to gain interest, creating an illusion of enlightenment while subtly redirecting individuals toward hidden agendas. Like some of those, like Sadhguru, with redirecting people to politics to fulfill political agendas. These schools often present powerful symbols, cosmic insights, and ancient mysteries, but behind their facade lies a blend of misdirection and manipulation. So what is crucial here is discernment. While their teachings contain wisdom, one must carefully analyze the intent and the deeper implications before embracing it as an absolute truth. Now, since I mentioned telos, I want to give the freedom teaching perspective. So you walk away with this information because it becomes important to know what is what. So telos is a significant gateway that was originally Christic, then became infiltrated, and has been ever since. It connects through Mount Sashta and links to what was known once as telos, a star, and a fragment of Brenawa, which is Stargate 1 in the inner Eka system. Now, during the fall of Brenawa, when Brenawa fell, part of it was blown off and suspended, and now it's closely tied to the gravitron machine and the black hole system, which has caused major disruptions in our reality field here. So, telos, what they tell you in the New Age, is an underground city with a lot of gates and ascended masters live there. But these actually lead to portals. Telos underground leads to portals that leads to a black hole system. And these locations have long been contested Templar control sites, which the fallen negatives or the fallen forces actually are competing for dominance. Right now, the white road, blue eye groups, spiritual groups, attempt to control these spaces using absorption matrix technology, pulling individuals into shields where they implant and redirect into black hole systems connected to fallen Amenti gates. So, Speaker 1, Ashayan Dean, urged anyone who's experienced any form of entrapment or initiation or astral projection walking through these entrapments, these gates, these portals, to use Kathara healing system as a method of reversal back to the original. So yeah, the white robed groups controlled this site for a very long time, and they remain highly aggressive in maintaining their influence there. Now, further information on telos is in the mceo Grid Keepers Conclave Part 1 2006 workshop. Okay, now next one. Archangel Michael, false light deception, Thoth, distortion and manipulation of ascension. Another big one. This frames the discussion around how Thoth alterations shaped false spiritual narratives, particularly through the emerald tablets and the distortion of Earth's genetic grids. It emphasizes the master dominion aspect, how these teachings were intentionally twisted to control human evolution rather than elevate it. So you can watch Fall of Atlantis on our YouTube channel for more information on the fall of Thoth, the fall of Atlantis and connection to Thoth. So there's something called blue sword flame initiations. What is wrong with Archangel Michael blue flaming sword initiations? This initiation is described as a powerful energetic activation, but it is actually a misalignment. Okay. In May 2003, the planet entered a blue sword initiation, a process that occurred during the ancient Egyptian dynasty through a fallen angelic being named Thoth. This initiation is represented by a large flaming blue sword in the shape of a cross, so you have a cross and the horizontal axis intersects 3 stargates linking 2 black holes together. These stargates is Stargate 6 in our matrix, Stargate 6 in Phantom, black hole, and Stargate 6 Wizardic matrix. This is what the initiation is. It's combining the 3, 666, creating 666 frequency, commonly referred to as the sign of the beast. The beast is not an entity coming here to wreak havoc and create disasters on earth. The beast is a frequency. It's connected to artificial distortions within a reality field. It's linked to a D13 artificially generated reverse matrix metatronic current. This metatronic reversal frequency is designed to trigger monadic reversal. So it affects the core essence of your soul identity, your monad. This is attached to your thymus. It's your chakra 8. It serves as a direct connection to your soul and divine template if it operates the right way. Through these initiations, they've done something called monadic reversals, which occurs when the original template structure of the 8th dimensional level is forcibly altered and reversed, disconnecting higher aspects of your consciousness that govern manifestation and energy flow. So when this monadic reversal occurs, the entire system is pulled into the black hole matrix, severing our natural ascension pathway. This is why the blue sword initiations are considered highly dangerous. They reverse the mathematical coding, the natural mathematic coding and program in your template, forcefully resetting monadic patterns and altering your original template and blueprint. Ordinarily, indigos, humans, they're highly sought after, let's just say, for these initiations, but also they are highly protected from these distortions by the prematter hydroplasmic crystal frequency of D12. This is why we activate at the D12 level to protect us from these initiations. These initiations don't have to hit our template to work. They only have to hit the template of the earth grids, and it activates within us all. And since 208,000 BC, the D12 frequency has actually been blocked from Earth to protect Earth Templar and basically to prevent disastrous events occurring like pole shifts as a result from ET manipulating the grids. It was reactivated on January 1st, the D12 frequency that is, a moment when certain entities declared energetic wars against human indigos and angelics, initiating a sequence of energetic manipulations that began to occur, reversing monadic connection to our Christos avatar. So these teachings are very dangerous, and they're deeply embedded in modern mystery schools and occult sciences, influencing countless spiritual circles. You hear of Archangel Michael in almost every spiritual gathering. Many of these institutions actually perform and conduct initiations, Archangel Michael initiations and monadic reversals, introducing practices that are completely misaligned with spiritual freedom. So be cautious of teachers who claim to have a message for you, a special message where they attempt to enter the energy field without your consent. If someone touches your face, your shoulder, your body, without permission, they're actually violating your free will. And not to mention, it could be also an energetic tagging or even an initiation, you never know, into something that you wouldn't otherwise willfully choose. So stay vigilant and discerning when engaging with spiritual healers. True empowerment lies in your ability to choose freely, free will, not forced energetic interventions marked or masked as healing. Okay, next. Next is that I'm going to cover today is the Ruby Order Agenda. This is the umbrella term for Niberian councils of 9, 12, and 24, Palladian Niberian Anunnaki, Galactic Federation of Light, Archangel Michael Collective, Ashtar Command, and Anu Melchizedek Legions. So this group is responsible for humanity's manipulation and genetic regression since 25,500 BC. Council of Nine, who are they? They're often described as groups of higher dimensional beings or cosmic overseers or the Watchers. This is why they have the W or the V, visitors, because they're watching. They're the overseers, supposedly guiding humanity through spiritual evolution and universal consciousness, but they're not. They're false light. So some traditions link it to ancient deities, extraterrestrial intelligence influencing Earth's development. And this is the problem here, is that we see these beings as intelligent, therefore higher consciousness. And we become answerable to them, and we submit to them, and we call them saviors and guides. And these beings, what happens is we give our power to them, and we often start to channel them about world affairs, updates, predictions, and fear-mongering updates, Earth approaching its final days, and doom and gloom, and all that sort of thing. But who are they really? They are the Anunnakis who have actually joined Niberian Council Anunnaki. They're associated with the Falcon and Phoenix Atlantic Egyptian schools. They invaded many human tribes such as the Egyptian, African, Akkadian Greek, South American, the Incan, some other American tribes, and many, many others. And the Council of 12 is similar. It's tied to the great masters, quote unquote. They're the 12 androgynous who travel interdimensionally to assist humanity and bestow humanity with great wisdom. And some sources say they're linked to 12 apostles, the 12 zodiac signs, sacred geometry. It is thought to govern spiritual order, wisdom, and universal cycles. People see them as a bridge between us, human consciousness, and higher realms. They're meant to bring forth like predictions of events and communicate with the humans via channelings and other ways I've discussed before. They're associated with the Niberian Council Anunnakis, and just like the Nines, they've also infiltrated, distorting teachings and mainly teachings of the original human tribes. Council of 24 is seen as the higher tier council, associated with like wisdom, judgment, overseeing the other councils, which means they're the guardianships over the cosmic law. Some see it as an extension of the 12, overseeing the larger universal shifts and multidimensional realities. So in essence, all these groups work for the same purpose. They infiltrated stargates, especially 4, which is our solar sun, and completely controlled it. These today form the UAR, united in true resistance with the draconian fallen angelic legions to fulfill Earth's pole shift agenda. And no, they're not ascended master. They're interdimensional beings. They have a high consciousness, but they're not positive. They're not benevolent. They're actually running reverse matrix system, infiltrating human tribes, uprooting humans from their origins. And many of the esoteric phoenix schools of ancient Egypt are actually associated with these councils, which means it goes back to the Thothien schools. So we have to be careful, very discerning here. Now, I come to the last part, and I want to leave you with a somewhat positive note, because I understand that many of you may be feeling disheartened, thinking, is that it? Like every practice, every spiritual group reversed, and then what? Like, what is there for us? The answer is there is you. There's always been you. There's always you. And the answer lies within you. Trust it, return to it, because you have the key to it. So the framework of life experiences, of our life experiences, was chosen from the highest stations of our identity. You chose everything. You're guided by your multidimensional journey, because there's multidimensional layers of you, and these layers guide your smaller self. However, when we enter earth realms, our memory of these choices may fade. And unfortunately, they do to a great extent. And this occurs because our genetic codes has yet to function at its intended capacity. And dormant strands of DNA prevent us from actually fully accessing higher dimensional awareness, leaving us disconnected from our true nature and divine origin. So there is no salvation in following an external guide, because no one is you. And though most of us don't consciously remember we made choices before incarnating on earth, choices regarding our life experiences and how we would navigate growth and evolution to a certain point. Every challenge and lesson within our earthly realm serves a greater purpose, to propel us along the path of evolution, leading to dimensional ascension and fulfillment of the promise of the silicate matrix. Of course, there are true light workers here to guide as well. Now, again, I don't want to leave you on a somewhat negative note or a disheartening note. So I want to talk about the positive stuff that we can see in all of this. I want to highlight first true light workers' roles and the different categories, who they are, what they represent. All of you watching may most likely be light workers serving the inner Christ, the eternal God source. And if you are, you will deeply resonate with this information and you will feel no resistance at all to it. And as we consciously grow, evolve, and restore our DNA and bring forth those authentic identities, we come to realize most of us hold soul agreements. We make the soul agreements. We're not forced to make them. We choose it. Predetermined roles within this ascension cycle. So we have various groups of souls and oversouls and avatars incarnated or walked in during this time to assist the earth transitioning. Okay, I've covered the reason why it's a major time right now in other videos, namely Ascension Earth and Higher Earth and a few others. Some of the light workers and Christed beings that are working for humanity's and planet's evolution, they run D12 frequency. They don't run lower than D12 frequency. And they help by transmitting these energies into the planetary and human shields, fulfilling missions of world service. We have the avatars. some of these light beings. We have the avatars, who are considered the Christed beings, their souls originating from harmonic universe 4, which are dimensions 10 to 12. They naturally exist in crystalline liquid light form, and they incarnate specifically for world service missions, especially during ascension cycles, which we are in an ascension cycle now. They possess 7 to 12 active strands of the silicate matrix at birth, and often demonstrate special abilities. Additionally, some humans evolve to embody harmonic universe 4 avatar identity level through passive DNA activation, fulfilling missions of world service. Now we have another category of light beings, light workers, you can say, who are flame holders. There's flame keepers and there's flame holders. Flame holders, they're born of the orange, gold, blue, or violet flame. Soul oversoul groups from harmonic universe 3 and above, they carry rare recessive genes, enabling them to anchor ultra high frequency UHF from the stellar bridge during the ascension cycles. Their mission is to absorb and house these frequencies, transmitting them to the flame keepers, thereby sustaining the planetary shields during transitions. Okay. Now we have the flame keepers. Flame keepers, like the flame holders, they incarnate with specialized DNA configurations, allowing them to channel and retain large amounts of energy. Channel, not as in channel, interdimensional channel, but channel as in harness and direct the energy where it's needed. Historically, flame keepers have incarnated to preserve divine knowledge within earthly races. During ascension cycles, they act as living energy conduits, stabilizing planetary frequencies and serving as host matrices, carrying others into Merkaba for ascension. So there's a lot of flame keepers here right now. Then we have key holders. Key holders, a subgroup within the flame keeper lineage. They're individuals who possess genetic codes enabling direct connection with planetary shields, which is a fundamental energy grid sustaining Earth. Through their unique energy imprint, they can influence and maintain shield functionality during ascension cycle. They incarnate from a minimum level of harmonic universe 4 as Christed beings at birth, and are often ascended masters from the energy matrix. And of course, we have indigo children who are members of the seventh root race, and these beings originate from future timelines in harmonic universe 2 and possess at least 6 active DNA strands at birth. They come here with fully activated 6 DNA strands at birth, and normally humans would come with 3 DNA strands. They come with 6. They rapidly evolve by the age of 5 or 6, fully embodied souls from birth. The cloister strains carry the complete silicate matrix, and so they typically fully activate, they reach full Christed activation by the age of 33. Between 1999 and 2017, for the stellar activation cycle, there was approximately 150,000 indigos born to help sustain Earth's core vibration, and around 2 million indigos of various ages exist, acting as placeholders, living scalar wave grids, allowing multidimensional frequencies to integrate into Earth's morphogenetic field, elevating planetary vibration. Okay, so these other beings, along with all human race, when they become activated, they begin transmitting 12-dimensional energies to help heal and evolve DNA template. You see, we can undo a false light. by activating our own portal, our own self, and activating ultimately the grids, we can undo a lot of the damage and the false light. We are told and taught that humans possess 3 to 4 DNA strands, whereas the angelic human race, the original, not the hybridized mixed with Illuminati codes or code convoluted. So angelic human race carry minimum 12 double-strand DNA potential. This is why it's super important that humans awaken to the illusion and the agendas at play and activate their DNA templates. And humans are typically drawn to indigos for help and awakening, but sometimes human forgets who they are, and as a result, they're pulled into duality and separation games, as well as mind control programming. So they're highly targeted by the Illuminati and dark agendas. They have to be very careful to what is going on and who's coming into your field, what messages, what do they want you to do? You've got to discern all that. So I come to the final section, the final last few words that I want to leave you with, or not words, not just a few, but I have a very key message here because I want to leave you with a very positive note. But it's a simple message, and and I'm sorry this is a little bit long, but I've had to condense so much information, and I had to leave a lot out too in one segment, so I hope I did it justice. But the message I have is, but there's numerous points I want to make. First is, not all that glitters is gold. Just because it's light, just because it's perceived as healing, it doesn't mean it's going to heal your organic template, your true Shalaya light. Doesn't mean it's true light, period. So avoid reversal mechanics. Take notes from this video and keep it with you, keep it on you, so that it can help you recognize when you encounter false light. You want to avoid reversal mechanics like Metatronic technologies, New Age teachings, channeling, astral feed tagging, Q movement, yes, Q movement, fallen angelic interferences. You want to highly discern information coming from a religious text, especially that which is dogmatic in nature. There's still a great portion of scriptures that's intact, that holds a very divine message, that hasn't been corrupted, but a lot of it are just holographic inserts from FAs. So you want to really be discerning with your scriptures. You want to avoid technologies that can mess up your original template and cause electromagnetic disturbances. There's a lot of New Age technology out there that claims to heal, but remember that it could be healing your Metatronic template and not your organic template. Because what we're going through right now is a readjustment, a quantum readjustment. A lot of the time we're going to feel like we're being ripped open, like we're being ripped apart, and we're putting ourselves back together again. It's meant to feel that way because we are being pulled out of the Metatronic God seed into the true organic God seed. So that process is like ripping a band-aid instead of pulling it slowly. So it's going to hurt. Accept the pain and accept that this is a realignment mission taking place, and it's not going to be super comfortable. Another thing is, don't engage in polarized conflict, especially when it comes to politics. I was very shocked to know that some within the freedom teaching movement, key people teaching other people about ascension and everything, who are actually heavily involved in politics. Again, this is entertaining the duality programming, the duality game, which you'll never end up being on the right side, because you know the snake with two heads? It's not going to be a winning situation for you. So don't engage in polarized conflict, okay? For or against. Okay, another thing that I want to mention is we're still learning and remembering, and mistakes may happen. Mistakes will be made. The key is to stay open-minded and learn from those who've walked the path, who have had these experiences, and avoid the danger of being very rigid about your belief system and that rigid certainty that often can be detrimental. We're here to heal, we're here to evolve and reconnect with Source. We're multidimensional, far beyond dense physical form. But these reversals can actually make you forget that you're here for that. So be very discerning. At the core of our existence, we're gifted with the ability for ascension, involving anchoring and holding sufficient level of Shalaya quantum living light. Shalaya means eternal living light, which will leap us into Ascension Earth continuum. I've dedicated a whole segment on Ascension Earth. Please feel free to explore that. One last thing to remember is D12 Maharic sealed currents and channels create protection from interdimensional manipulation of their natural bioneurological communication lines. So you cannot get possessed or dark flowered if you do the techniques in the Freedom Teachings, the original techniques though, and activate your flame body, your crystal body, your various layers of protection. They're all your own frequency, just expanding and becoming activated and coming online. Okay, so just remember that all begins and ends with you. And so, to end this segment, if the message resonates with you, if it stirs something deep within, I invite you to connect with us. And this is not another hollow spiritual movement designed to entangle. It is actually the real deal mceo teachings that are transcriptions and interpretations of what is known as CDT, Cloister Dora Terra plates. Literally means the essence and teachings of your soul. So you know yourself better, you know who you are, you know where you come from, your roots, your origins. It holds it's an encryption in these CDT plates that carry a distinct purity, integrity in its frequency. Michael Dean pointed out the most important information was brought through first. There at the beginning we have Kathara 1, Flame Body, Kathara 2, 3. Just those few courses will cleanse out anything in your field, including reverse plasma, damaged DNA. You can still refer to Kathara 1, 2, 3 for realignment. These teachings offer truth, real historical knowledge, and leave individuals free to decide for themselves. There is no coercion, there is no force, there is no bullying tactics. There's free will respected and honored at all times. There's no hierarchy. It offers truth, ultimate truth, real historical knowledge, and leaves each individual free to decide. The after effects of engaging with this wisdom are profound. It's tangible, you feel it. Many describe it as true embodiment of divine knowing. That's how it feels. It feels like a relief, a breath of fresh air, a recognition, a deep seated recognition, like a homecoming for the soul. There is a resonance to it that's not found in any other scriptures or texts. There is clarity, there is you, remembering who you are. And even though there is false light amongst us, it should be in fact an impetus for us to want to evolve harder and love more, because the minute we descend into fear, into chaos, we forget who we are. We forget the love that we are. And fear constricts. Remember, fear makes you smaller, limits you, constricts you, whereas love expands. And the choice between the two defines, it becomes a defining factor of our individual journeys and ultimately our collective journeys. So thank you for being here. If you feel called, support us, liking, sharing and donating so we can continue to bring these invaluable episodes and teachings to you, not found anywhere on social media. And also feel free to join our Indigo Connect forum on our website, Omnilove. See you next time.